Good morning, students, and welcome to the class of English. Today, I, Pankaj Singh Thapa, your English teacher, is going to explain you a new chapter, and the chapter's name is "Landscape of the Soul" by Nathalie Troveroy. So, children, what do you understand by landscape? See, landscape mode and portrait mode. Actually, the landscape and portrait, these are terms of drawing and painting. All right. So a portrait can be painted in landscape mode or a portrait mode. Now, when the term or the topic is landscape of the soul, so what do you understand by soul? Soul means your conscience, something which is inside you, and that has come up in the painting, in the form of painting. So, children, let's find out what is there in the landscape of the soul. So, already I have made the video in which you can understand the entire detail about the chapter. If you go to my channel, here I'm just summarizing this chapter. All right. So, children, this chapter talks about 8th century painter Wu Daoji in China, who was asked by the Tang Emperor Xuanzong to paint a landscape, and the painting has to be not on the canvas, it had to be on the palace wall. Means the palace wall had to be decorated. The painter did his work, and after finishing, he hid his work behind a screen, and only the emperor could see it. Now, the emperor admired the wonderful scene when he saw the painting, because he discovered forests, high mountains, waterfalls, clouds floating in the enormous sky, men on hilly paths, and birds in flights. So it was a nature painting. The painter has painted nature. Now comes the complicated part. As the king was enjoying the painting, the painter asked the king respectfully to look in a cave at the foot of the mountain. It means there was a cave in the painting near the foot of the mountain, and the painter asked the king to look in a cave. And he said a spirit lived there. The painter clapped his hands. And to the surprise of the king, the entrance to the cave opened. The painter remarked that the cave was very beautiful, splendid, marvelous from inside. And he asked king to show the way to his majesty. The painter entered the cave, but king did not enter. And what happened then? Something very astonishing. The entrance of the cave closed behind the painter, and the painter got vanished inside the cave. Before the king could move or speak a word, the painting also got vanished from the wall, and not a sign of Wu Daoji's brush was left. Means, along with the painter gone inside the cave, the painting also disappeared from the wall, and there was no sign of such thing like painting, which the great painter Wu Daoji had painted. The artist was never seen again, and this was his last painting. Children, this is one of the famous Chinese story in the Chinese mythology about a painter. Now there is one more famous story about a painter. In fact, he would not draw the eye of a dragon he had painted. All right, because he feared that it would fly out of the painting. Means the painter did not paint the eye of the dragon because he was afraid that maybe the dragon would fly out of the painting. And such stories played an important part in China's traditional education. The books of Confucius and Zhuangzi are full of them. They helped the master to guide his disciple in the right direction. These stories reveal the spirit in which art was considered. Now, children, these two stories were of Chinese mythology. Now, the writer then compared these stories to an old story from his own country. Means Nathalie Troveroy belonged to Flanders. And now she compares a Chinese story with one of the mythological story of country. He finds the story most representative of Western painting. And the story is in the 15th century, Antwerp, a skilled blacksmith named Quentin Matses fell in love with a painter's daughter. Means a blacksmith was there, and the story is of Antwerp, a place in Flanders. There was a blacksmith named Quentin Matzy, and he fell in love with the painter's daughter. The father of the girl would not accept a son-in-law in such a profession. Means at the time, blacksmith's profession was considered as lowly. So one day, Quentin went into the painter's studio secretly, and what he did there? He painted a fly on the master's latest painting. Means the father of the girl or the master painter had painted something, and Quentin Metzi went there in the studio and painted a fly on the painting. And next day, when the father of the girl or the painter came there, and he took the fly as a real one because he tried to hit it away, and then he realized what the matter was. And later on, when he came to know that it was the miracle done by Quentin, he took Quentin as an apprentice. Then Quentin married his beloved, and he went on to become one of the most famous painters of his age. Now, children, the above stories from China and Flanders illustrate what each form of art is trying to achieve. See, well, let's compare Chinese paintings, Chinese stories, and European painting, or Chinese painting and the European painting. In Europe, the aim is a perfect illusionistic likeness. Illusionistic likeness means the fly which Quentin painted, it was like an illusion, although it was unreal, but it appeared real. All right, so it was a kind of illusion. So European painting just portrayed illusionistic likeness, but in Asia the stress was on the essence of inner life and spirit. In Chinese painting, the spirit was being talked about, and in European painting the similarity was there between realism and unrealism. The Chinese emperor gets a painting painted, he appreciates its outer appearance, the artist reveals to him the true meaning of his work. The emperor may rule over the region he has conquered, but only the artist knows the way. Right? So, what is the Chinese painting? The emperor may rule the region, but he cannot just suppress the talent of the painter, because he only knows the way within, because the painter got vanished inside the cave and the painting also got vanished. A Western painting reproduces an actual view. The European painter wants the beholder to look at a particular landscape from a specific angle, and that is exactly as he saw it. So, what is the theory behind the European painter? That is, he wants that you look at the painting from that particular angle. Alright, so it means the fly must be looked at from a particular angle so that it gives the same impression. The Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one. One can enter it from any point and travel it in a leisurely manner. You can enter from cave, you can enter from river, you can enter from waterfall, you can enter from trees. So no single decided place was there in the Chinese painting, but the European painter wants that the viewer should look at his painting from a particular angle. Here one slowly opens one section of the painting, then rolls it up and moves onto the other side. I'm talking about Chinese painting, children. And this, it's a dimension of time. It also requires the active participation of the viewer, a participation which is physical as well as mental. The European painter wants the viewer to borrow his eyes. Alright, so European painter wants that you look at the painting from his eyes. The Chinese painter does not want him to do so. He wants the viewer to enter his mind. What does the Chinese painter want? That you enter the mind of the painter. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. Now, children, next concept which has been explained over here is of sensui, which means mountain water. Used together, they represent the word landscape. The mountain is yang while the water is yin. And the interaction of yin and yang is a fundamental notion of Taoism. There is a third essential element also, the middle void. Means between mountain and water there is void. Void means nothing. And that's the place where the interaction of mountain and water or yin and yang takes place. And this is the philosophy of Taoism. Notion means belief or philosophy. So this is the concept of sensui, children. So sensui means mountain water. See, this question is sometimes asked in exams. What to explain the concept of sensui, or what is the fundamental notion of Taoism? If this question is asked in exam, so you will express it like this: the sensui means mountain water, and the words together represent landscape. The mountain is yang, water is yin, and the interaction of yin and yang takes place in the middle void. And this can be compared with the yogic practice of pranayam, breathe in, retain, breathe out. And the suspension of breath is the void where the meditation occurs. So if we can compare this thing with pranayam, what happens in pranayam? We breathe in, alright? We hold the breath and breathe out. So when we hold the breath, that's the place where the meditation occurs. And this middle void is essential. Nothing can happen without it. Hence, the white unpainted space is very important in Chinese landscape. Now, man finds a fundamental role in this space between heaven and earth. So, what is this middle void? Heaven and earth. And man has the place in the middle void. Alright. He becomes a medium of communication between both poles of the universe. His presence is essential. He is the eye of the landscape. French painter Jean de Buffet. Children, I am talking about something else. That is, Jean de Buffet was the French painter, and he first created the concept of art brut or raw art in the 1940s. Actually, in the art, the untrained visionary was of minority interest. It was later on known as outsider art, and now it's a growing area of interest in international modern art. And this particular type of work is the creation of those who have no right to be artists, as they have received no formal training, yet they show talent and artistic insight. Children, you would be worried what I'm talking about. What is art, Brett? What is raw art? Who was Jean de Buffet? So Jean de Buffet was the first person who gave this concept of art, Brett, or raw art, or outsider art. Now, let me give you an example, and this thing would be clear to you. The work of 80-year-old Nekchand in India, biggest contribution to outsider art. He has made a garden sculpted with stone and recycled material. It is known to the world today as the Rock Garden at Chandigarh. Children, you might have visited Chandigarh, and if you have been to Chandigarh, then you definitely have visited the Rock Garden in Chandigarh. See, that garden has different kind of sculpture. There you can see animals, structure of animals, human beings, various other things made up of plants. All right, and what is being used there? Recycled material. Some stones have been used to construct such type of garden. All right, so is it a painting? No, that's not a painting, but it's an outsider art. So same thing was given by Jean de Buffet, which he termed as art bread or outsider art. The recently released 15th scene, spring 2005 of Raw Vision, a UK-based magazine pioneer in outsider art publications, features Nick Chandana's rock garden sculpture, Women by the Waterfall on its anniversary issues cover. His art has been recognized as an outstanding testimony of the difference a single man can make where he lives in his dreams. So, Nick Chand has got repute also, as his work got published in the magazine, UK based magazine, Raw Vision in 2005, in the 15th scene. The Swiss Commission for UNESCO will be honoring him by way of a 5-month interactive show of his work. The UNESCO will also honor him by calling him for his works. Nixon says that walking through the garden and watching people enjoy his creation is the biggest reward for him. So, children, that's all in this chapter. And what we have had talked about basically art. This chapter concentrates on different kind of art forms and what is the art belief among various kinds of people. Now let's discuss some questions. Contrast the Chinese view of art with the European view with examples. Children, the Chinese paintings are based on an imaginative, inner or spiritual approach, whereas the European paintings reproduce an actual view of an external or real object. The paintings of Wu Daozi and master painters of Europe illustrate this difference. Alright, children, Chinese paintings are based on spiritual, they are spiritual, but European paintings are actual and they are based on illusionistic likeness. See, children, just now the concept of sensui, which I explained. What it represents? Two complementary poles of universe, yang and yin. Literally, sensui means mountain, water. Mountain is yang, the vertical, stable, warm and dry element. Water is yin, horizon resting on earth, fluid and cool. The interaction of yin, that is the receptive feminine aspect of universal energy, and yang, the active and the masculine energy, creates the images. What do you understand of the terms outsider art and art bread or raw art? So, outsider art refers to the art of those who have no right to be artists, as they have received no formal training. Children, art bread, just now we have discussed Jean de Buffet, Nick Chand, that's the thing. So, what is outsider art? These people, they don't have a particular training of any kind, but they are creating marvels. Next question, children. It's some kind of based on understanding of the chapter. The emperor may rule over the territory he has conquered, but only the artist knows the way within. So, what is this? It is based on the concept of Chinese painting of Wu Daoji, right? And which Wu Daoji got disappeared. So the emperor is a symbol of power and authority, and his will prevails in the land under his rule. His word is law for the people. Spread over the territory he rules. The emperor may get the services of talented persons and master artists. The acquisition of power, wealth, and physical objects does not make him superior to the artists. The artists have a spiritual insight into the nature of things. Means the king may rule over territory, but he cannot overpower or overcome the talent of the artists. He understands the working of the mysterious ways of the universe. His spiritual enlightenment and vision can help the emperor to attain the goal of life, that is, the liberation of the soul from the framework of the body. It is only the artist who knows the way within the territory the emperor has conquered. The way here means both the path and the method. His approach is quite spiritual, which persons burdened with materialistic approach fail to acquire and appreciate. So king belonged to the materialistic world. He could not realize the sanctity of the painting which Vidauji had created. That's why. Next question, children. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. A classical Chinese landscape is not meant to reproduce an actual view, like a Western painting. The European painter aims to create illusionary likeness, which I have already explained to you. Alright, children, the European painter wants likeness, but Chinese painter wants that his painting belongs to inner life and spirit. For the Chinese painter, the landscape is not a real one. It does not choose a single viewpoint. Hence, this landscape can be viewed from different angles. One can enter it from any point and then travel in it. The Chinese artist creates a path for our eyes to travel up and down and then back again in a leisurely movement. These paintings require the active participation of the viewer, and this participation is physical as well as mental. You must try not only to see the painting but enter the mind of the painter. This is required by the Chinese painter. And it is only by understanding the ideals that motivate the painter that we can understand the true import of the essence. See? So when we know that why painter has painted this painting, what's the reason behind it, then we will be able to appreciate really what he has painted. That is because his landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. Alright, children? So that's all in today's video. Hope you will enjoy this video and get benefited. That's all for today. Thank you.